Hi, everyone. Welcome. I'll give it just a couple seconds here. I know everybody's probably getting connected to audio and getting situated. But thank you, everyone, for joining us. I'm thinking back to when I first started taking the exam and I had a million questions. I don't know if I ever got all of them answered, but I think it's really helpful to have these types of sessions, giving you guys a forum to at least know who to come to. If you guys have questions, we wanted to provide some resources to everyone, not only in addition to the society, which Chad and I will speak to in a moment, but also at the institute level. Sometimes, there's so much to comprehend and so many different lifelines of information, knowledge, and study materials. So we just want to make sure everyone knows that there's resources at the society level and at the institute level for anyone taking the exam. And so with that, and I'll introduce more formally in a moment here, but we have two members from the Institute, both Meredith and Wanda, who have joined us today, and they'll be doing the bulk of the presentation about the exam. And then for those of you that don't already know Chad and myself, Paisley Nardini and then Chad Marani, we both sit on the board of the CFA Society of Orange County. And I'm sure many of you have seen our names or perhaps our faces as it relates to anything educational related. For those that are university students on the phone, we oversee both the Investment Research Challenge, which is put on in tandem with the Institute, as well as the Orange County Student Managed Investment Fund. But I think the goal of today is really just to keep this kind of an open dialogue. We want to make sure any questions you guys have will get answered. And if we run out of time, please do connect with Chad and myself afterwards, and we'll get your questions answered for you, of course. And then I also just wanted to highlight, before we jump over to the Institute, the types of resources that we provide those taking the exam, because sometimes it's you have to dig, of course. So if you guys are ever wondering whether or not there's a scholarship opportunity, there's networking study materials, live review courses, don't ever hesitate to reach out to the society. And if we don't offer that, we will get you connected with an organization or a society that does do that. So specifically the Orange County Society level scholarships that we can mention in the past, we've always worked with Kaplan Schweizer that provides us scholarships that we then delegate out to many university students on an annual basis. And generally, again, being at the university level, we go through the professors. So those of you that are aware of those, and if not, please ask us. The Institute, of course, provides scholarships as well. I can let Wanda and Meredith speak to that. But there's always scholarships for the exam kind of hiding, and it's just kind of making sure that we get those resources to you. So again, never hesitate to ask. And then a new thing, which when I say new, it's kind of coming back, the foundation arm of the Orange County Society is going to start offering an annual scholarship as well. So just want to make sure you guys are aware of all of those. Another resource as it relates to exam prep is reviewed courses. Historically, those have been held through the UCI Irvine campus. LA actually has a really good program. And so we've actually been feeding some people up to LA at some discounted rates for those review courses in the past. So that's something to be aware of. The other thing I wanted to mention, something we're going to try to launch this year actually, is a recycle program for study materials and books. Many of us, as we at least think about starting to take the exam, maybe we're not fully committed. We don't want to spend hundreds of dollars on the materials, or maybe those of us that actually just need some of the financial support as well. We're going to start putting those who are taking the exam in contact with those who have just recently passed, so we can start sharing books, materials, and such. And then the last thing that I'll mention on behalf of the society is that we have a student membership. So again, I know not everyone on this call today is in an undergrad or graduate program, but in regards to bringing you resources, network opportunities, and events, we do have a special subsidized student membership where you get all the exact same benefits as industry professionals joining the society at a reduced rate, and it really gives you an opportunity to start networking and looking for great career opportunities. So in regards to career opportunities, if you guys saw when you registered for this event, we are actually kicking off a roadshow, which we hope to take place throughout October and November. Chad, myself, the president of the CFA Society, Derek And then a volunteer of ours, Tim, will be kind of coming to visit all of the universities and talking about career opportunities and really how the CFA has really helped us succeed in finding great opportunities, networking, and really kind of the success that all of us have seen. I think we can tie back to the Institute and the CFA exam at some point. So I'll pause there. Again, thank you everyone for joining. Chad, I don't know if you had anything else you wanted to mention or if I...
Yeah, let me give that was good. Let me give 2 tidbits. I think number one, I think some of you that said live review course, wait, LA, it's a long drive. The benefit of us doing the LA program and just kind of offering a subsidized version of that is that they do it virtual as well. And I mean, they have a really robust program with so many candidates in that area. So you can get access to the LA course and then still be at home doing your study work. And we also have a really strong partnership with Kaplan Schweizer, who has on-demand videos. So I think all of those resources from our education page on the website are definitely places to start if you're getting ready to study for these exams. The other big thing is, Paisley mentioned the student membership. For all of you that are still university students, I definitely would not take that lightly. I think everybody thinks about CFA program as this 3 years of testing that's going to be really hard and it's going to help you get ahead in your career. But I think a lot of people forget the benefits of the network of the CFA community out there, and coming to volunteer and coming to some of the networking events and getting to know people. You don't need to be a CFA charter holder to start building that network and networking and volunteering with the society and getting some of those perks, including, like I think some of our committee members and chair people on the board that are not actually board members and are not CFA charter holders, we still send them to some of the CFA Institute conferences and to the CFA, like a Western Region conference in Las Vegas every year. Where you get to network with even more people outside of Orange County and get some of those benefits. So it's never too early if you're interested in volunteering and networking to definitely come take part in the local society at some of our events and wine tastings and beer tastings and all those fun things as we can finally start doing them in person again.
Awesome. Thank you, Chad. I'm going to drop my email into the chat box here. And I mentioned like reach out with any questions. And then I realized many of you probably don't have my email. So I'm going to drop that in. And then with that being said, now that everyone recognizes there's a chat box, as you have questions as we go throughout the presentation, feel free to drop them right in there. I'll try to get to them when we open it up for Q&A. And then also if anybody just wants to ask live questions once we open it up, you have the opportunity to do that as well. So again, thank you everyone. Let's dive right into why we're all here, which is to learn more about the exam. So I'm going to hand it over to Wanda McClenahan and Meredith Cowton, who have joined us from the Institute. And with that, thank you all.
Thank you so much, Chad and Paisley. Thank you and welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us today for this session on the CFA program and how it can help boost your career. I'm going to save or share my screen now so you can see the presentation. Okay, so you should be able to see it now.
Yep.
Thank you. Okay, so we'll get started. So let's take a look at the agenda. Today's session, we're going to provide a quick overview of the CFA Institute and the CFA program. We'll look at the types of jobs held by CFA charter holders, share some information on the administration of the exams, and to help you decide if the CFA program is right for you. So we're going to take about 20 minutes to go over that, and then we'll make sure to leave lots of time for your questions. So I'm going to start with just a quick introductions. I'm Wanda McClenahan, the Director of University Relations for the Americas at CFA Institute, and I'm joined today by my colleague, Meredith Cowton, the Manager of University Relations for the Americas. And Meredith is going to join me during the Q&A to address your questions, along with Chad and Paisley, who are going to provide insights through their own experiences and the local society network experience. We'll move on now to the CFA Institute mission. We are the premier global association for investment management professionals, and all the work we do supports our mission statement, which is to lead the investment profession globally by promoting the highest standards of ethics, education, and professional excellence for the ultimate benefit of society. We have a large global network that includes more than 180,000 members worldwide in 164 markets and 161 local societies. We also have more than 250,000 candidates in the CFA program. This slide shows the distribution of our members and candidates and societies across the 3 major regions. And you'll note the majority of our members and local societies are in the Americas region, and the majority of our candidates are in the Asia Pacific region. So now we'll move on and talk about the CFA program. So what is the CFA program? The Chartered Financial Analyst, or CFA, program is a professional credential for investment professionals who are responsible for making investment decisions. It bridges industry practice, investment theory, and ethical and professional standards to provide investment analysis and portfolio management skills. Qualifications or credentials like the CFA charter indicate that the holder has completed extensive training, passed a third-party administered test, logged experience in the field, and have signed on to a code of ethics. So having a globally recognized credential really sets you apart in your career journey, and that point is illustrated by this quote from a CFA charter holder. This slide provides an overview of the CFA program benefits. So the CFA charter is viewed as a mark of distinction. Publications such as the Financial Times, employers, and the investment industry as a whole recognize the CFA charter as the gold standard in investment management and finance. It provides a strong ethical foundation, which has been at the core of the program since the first exam was given in 1963. And you can really think about it as a global passport. So no matter where you are in the world, you have the credential that is recognized by finance employers no matter where your life and your career take you. To ensure our curriculum is grounded in practice, we engage with practicing CFA charter holders from around the world. And I want to highlight the network you gain as one of the most valuable benefits you will receive. As you heard from Chad and Paisley, CFA Society Orange County represents and supports the local network of investment professionals. So the society allows you to connect with like-minded individuals with whom you can network and have something in common with throughout your career. It's that shared focus on excellence in investment management. And lastly, you will also gain access to our suite of member resources and tools, helping you to navigate an ever-changing career landscape. The CFA program is based on a candidate body of knowledge that is practice-based and global. As a generalist program, it prepares you for many different job roles, and you broaden your options by taking the CFA program early in your career. So now we'll look at the structure of the CFA program and the exams. The CFA program is a self-study, 3-level program. Each of the 3 exams covers a range of topics, but with a different focus. So at level 1, the focus is on investment tools, shown in the bottom left column. The level 1 exam focuses on the candidate's knowledge and comprehension. And moving to level 2, the focus is valuation across the different asset classes. So the level 2 exam requires candidates to apply and analyze. And level 3 is all about portfolio management, putting together and managing a portfolio in order to hit the goals of the client within the risk constraints set by the client. The level 3 exam calls on candidates to synthesize and evaluate. At the core of the curriculum and the exams across all 3 levels is ethics and professional standards, symbolized here in green. You will learn best practices for ethical professional behavior specifically applied to situations you may encounter in a variety of investment and financial settings. So we've talked about the focus of each level, and now we'll look at the format for each level. Level 1 is all multiple choice. Level 2 consists of item sets. which are case vignettes with a set of related multiple choice questions. And level 3 is half constructed response or essay and half item sets. So this slide also includes the 10-year average pass rate. This is a frequently asked question, so we wanted to share that with you. The steps to earn the CFA charter are shown here. So you must pass the 3 levels sequentially. And after passing all 3 levels of the CFA exams, you'll need to qualify as a CFA Institute regular member for the right to earn the charter and use the CFA designation and the letters after your name. So for this, you'll need to meet the relevant work experience requirement and submit professional references. Meeting the work requirement means acquiring at least 4,000 hours of relevant work experience in a minimum of 36 months. The work experience can be earned before, during, or after you take the exams. And then ultimately, after you've completed these steps and signed a professional conduct statement, you will have earned the CFA charter. The most common question we get is, how do I pass the exams? So we would say ensuring that you put in enough time in your study. So typically, successful candidates spend about 300 hours studying for each level. The average person takes about 4 years to get through all 3 levels. When you become a candidate, you receive the study materials, and you only need these study materials to pass the exam. The CFA program curriculum is the only source material for exam writers. So we encourage all candidates to take full advantage of all the study tools we make available online in the CFA program learning ecosystem. So this is a screenshot of the learning ecosystem. Again, it's our digital learning portal, which consolidates the curriculum and the study tools into an integrated platform. It houses the entire curriculum. It includes practice questions, mock exams, built-in study planners, gamification, highlighting, flashcards, and more. It includes a dashboard to track your progress and performance. It's web-based and is compatible with mobile devices, and it provides syncing across multiple devices. It also provides a personalized learning experience based on your behavior and your preferences. In terms of the curriculum, we're always updating to stay current with the industry. So very recently, we brought in machine learning and big data analytics, for instance. We've also seen a trend with more and more practitioners incorporating ESG considerations into their decision-making process. So we introduced a new reading that talks about the different aspects of evaluating corporate governance policies and procedures and integrating ESG. So next, we'll look at what you can do with the charter. So here you can see a quick snapshot of some of the top global employers of CFA charter holders. These include nearly all of the world's leading financial institutions, including the big investment banks, as well as asset management firms, insurance companies, and accounting firms. In terms of the jobs actually done by charter holders, here is a quick slide that shows you what they do. So on the left, you can see we have a very healthy mix of people who do equities, fixed income, private equity, and so on. So the major asset classes are very well represented by our member base. And in terms of job roles on the right, the #1 role of CFA charter holders is portfolio manager, which is one of the most desirable jobs in the market. And the #2 role is research or investment analyst. When you step back and look at this chart, you can see the broad range of jobs, the job roles served. And this is because the CFA program covers a breadth of transferable skills, which can be used in many different roles. Here you can see the number of CFA charter holders in California and across the United States. So with more than 9,300 CFA charter holders, California is one of the states with the highest concentration of our members. Those states are shown here in green. And as I expect, the list of top employers of CFA charter holders shown here include those that you'd expect to see, including Wells Capital Management, Pacific Investment Management Company, and Franklin Templeton. More and more, the CFA charter is featured in job advertisements such as these, where some of the industry's top employers call for the charter or progress toward it. So now we'll move on to exam administration. So we've talked about our modern learning platform, the ecosystem, and we've also modernized the delivery of the CFA program exams, moving completely from paper-based testing to computer-based testing in 2021. So we offer the exam more frequently now. Level 1 is available 4 times each year: February, May, August, and November. Level 2 is offered twice. That would be in February and August. And then level 3 is offered twice, and that is May and November. So our CFA exams are proctored at more than 400 locations globally. Computer-based testing also allows for some operational flexibility that we've really had to utilize to adjust to the changing landscape of COVID-19. The flexibility allowed us to open additional exam windows and expand existing windows to cover all levels to accommodate those who had been impacted by test center closures. So the schedule shown on this slide is expected to be in place from 2022 on, as 2021 has had some shifts and expanded exam windows to meet our candidates' needs. Our computer-based test centers have limits in place at any given time to ensure that social distancing and safety are incorporated. So now we'll look at enrollment requirements. In order to enroll in the CFA program, you must meet one of these requirements. So 1, you can have a bachelor's degree. So any student who's a master's level student, you've already got your bachelor's degree, you're eligible based on that. If you don't have your bachelor's degree yet, but you're a final year student, you can enroll. Your selected exam window must be 11 months or fewer before your graduation month for your bachelor's degree. So this means you can register to SEP for level 1 while you're in your junior year, as long as the exam window you choose is no sooner than 11 months before you graduate. And after you pass level 1, you can register to SEP for level 2 as long as you will have graduated before you actually sit. Then the third way to be eligible to enroll is through a combination of 4,000 hours of work experience and/or college education that has been acquired over a minimum of 3 sequential years. You can find full information on eligibility requirements as well as some frequently asked questions on our website at the address shown here. So now we'll look at pricing. There is a one-time enrollment fee of $450 when you register for level 1, and each exam administration has 2 price points. So the early registration is $700 and the standard registration is $1,000. So the total would be $1,150 for a new level 1 candidate that registers within that early registration period, or the total would be $1,450 if they register in the standard window. So benefits of registering early, of course, cost savings, and then more time to study and prepare. So as Paisley mentioned earlier, there are some scholarships. So we'll talk here about the student scholarships. These are available exclusively for our students at our university affiliates. Once students who have not yet registered for the exam. So they're available for any level of the CFA program, and our affiliated universities are allocated at least 3 scholarships to award to deserving students. Program enrollment fees are waived under the scholarship program, and then the exam registration fee is reduced to $350. So that means the total cost, if you receive a student scholarship, is $350. significant savings there. And scholarship decisions are made by the principal contacts, the professors at the university, the affiliated university. They can choose based on their own criteria. As long as the student is eligible to sit for the exam, they can be awarded a scholarship at the discretion of the university. So last year, over 4,500 student scholarships were awarded. So to learn more about the student scholarship and how to apply for it, and to learn about some other scholarship programs that we have available, such as the Women's Scholarship, we have media scholarships. There are other programs that are available, and you can learn all about those and how to apply on the website shown here. And so now we'll talk a bit more about the registration process. It's important to note that it is a two-step process. So first you register for the exam, then you have to schedule your exam at your test center. So we'll taking a look here at the windows that are currently open for level 1 as an example. So February 2022 is the next opportunity to sit for level 1. The early registration deadline has passed, but the standard registration is open through October 26th. Early registration is still available for the May 2022 exam window through November 1. And the standard registration is open through February 1st of 2022. And I'll note that exam registration deadlines are subject to change. You can scan this QR code for full details on registration dates and exam windows for all 3 levels of the exams. And as far as results, level 1 and level 2 exam results are available within 60 days of the day you take the exam. And level 3 results are available within 90 days. It takes a while longer for the grading process for the essay portion. So you heard us talk earlier about the expanded test footprint that has come with computer-based testing, and this slide illustrates that point. We've expanded our number of test cities from 192, marked here in purple, to now 426, marked in gold. I'll briefly go over the exam day experience. All levels of exams, as you've heard, are computer-based now, and they're delivered in proctored exam centers with robust security measures in place. There is limited capacity so that we can ensure social distancing and safety. Candidates are provided with writing materials. Most of the time, it's a whiteboard and a marker, but it can vary by your test center. So your local test center can give guidance on what their process is or what they provide for writing materials. You are allowed to bring in an approved calculator to the exam center, one of the 2 models that are approved by the CFA program shown here on the slide. Your exam appointment is 5.5 hours. Actual testing is 4.5 hours. So this is how your exam appointment breaks out. You start with the candidate pledge, a tutorial and a survey for the first 30 minutes. Then the actual testing, session 1, runs for 2 hours, 15 minutes. There's an optional 30-minute break in between, and then the session 2 runs for 2 hours and 15 minutes. So again, 4.5 hours total testing time. So if you're interested in pursuing the CFA program to help boost your career, we invite you to scan this QR code to take our assessment to learn whether becoming a charter holder is right for you. And finally, to end on a light note, we wanted to share a link to the top 10 finance films and how the CFA program helps you decipher what's going on in those films by linking to the applicable CFA program reading. You can learn more about the professor survey behind this listing and access the full research paper by visiting the link shown here. So this concludes the CFA program overview. So now we're going to open it up to your questions. So I'm going to turn it back over to Paisley, who will facilitate the Q&A.
Awesome. Thank you, Wanda. I really appreciate it. just a reminder to everyone, there is a chat box. So if you prefer to drop any questions there, or otherwise, I think everyone's on mute, but you can take yourself off mute and ask questions live. I don't see any in the chat box right now, so maybe I'll throw out a question that I have had in the past. Does the CFA Institute have a preferred study material provider for additional support? I know that's always a question that comes up, is there's so many providers out there that students can access in addition to the CFA curriculum materials. Is there one that you guys would recommend, or is there anything that everyone should be aware of, I guess, when assessing outside providers for materials?
Yeah, so I'll take that one.
Hey guys, while you do that, Wanda, could you move back to the page with the barcode about, are you ready to be
absolutely.
a CFA candidate? That's one. Yep. Cool.
So I'll just start with the at the CFA Institute level, we have had an agreement with certain prep providers that they advertise fairly to our candidates, so that they've been known as the Approved Prep Provider Program. And I will mention that that program is in transition now, but it's currently still listed on our website. What this means is that we've had an agreement with a certain number of prep providers that they will, advertise honestly on pass rates and expectations for candidates who are paying for their services. So CFA Institute does not warrant or validate the curriculum or the materials that they use. Again, we say that all of the materials that you need are provided. As Paisley mentioned, a big resource for you is your local society, because a lot of people, it's an individual decision on if you're disciplined enough to go through this on your own, or do you prefer to study in a group setting, or to have some of the offerings through the prep providers. So if I were going to choose a prep provider, I would look at that list. Elsewise, I would go first through the local society and work with who they suggest. And as I understood, it was Kaplan, if you want to expand on that anymore.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's helpful. I just know that there's so many choices out there. And my understanding is the same as yours, is that working through your society and kind of networking with people who have successfully passed, of course, to see how they approached. But everyone's going to approach studying and the materials and how they allocate their time differently. So that's the one thing I would say to everyone listening is what worked for your neighbor might not work for you. And so, being cognizant of the resources that you have in front of you and what works best for a typical, study schedule for you might be better.
Yeah, I'd say something to add to that too is that, one of the best resources, and why I think so many people, especially like here in Orange County and everywhere else, loved Kaplan, is not so much that the books are great. I mean, they are a little bit easier to read than the Institute's old books, but it's still relatively dry for most people to get through the content and difficult. But the question bank was remarkably robust. I think one of the other questions we have in the chat box is the learning platform that the Institute provides free? And once you're registered, yes, it is. And they also have a remarkably robust question bank as well. So you don't actually need to purchase Kaplan's materials to get access to 10,000 plus questions anymore. In that you do get that via the Institute's website. They have a structured program that goes straight through the material. They have an adaptive program that focuses you in on your weakest areas. That are the highest weighting on the different level that you're taking. So you can have very different approaches to studying now directly via the Institute's learning portal without going to one of these other kind of providers now. I say, especially once you get towards level 3, just go with the Institute's material, right? The Kaplan's material, almost everybody I've talked to says it's not the same for level 3. Where level 1, you can probably just go with Kaplan and disregard the Institute's, except for ethics. Always read the Institute's ethics section. Yes. They say every other section for level 1, Kaplan's probably good enough. But once you get to level 3, it's just a whole different ballgame.
Yeah, I would echo that.
And level 2 is like hit or miss. I tried both.
Yeah, okay, that's super helpful. I think another question would come in, which I was hoping would come up today. I actually have a link to the CFA Institute's site. They addressed this very recently, but this would definitely be for probably for Wanda, is thinking about the drop in pass rates recently. A lot of this, if we think about what's transpired over the last 12 to 18 months, we've all been a little preoccupied. So that could be one component. Computer-based testing is kind of newer, so that could be one component. So I'm going to drop a link into the chat here just so everybody has kind of an official statement from the Institute. But I don't know if you guys have anything else you wanted to kind of offer in regards to how people are approaching this drop in pass rates. It's obviously a little unnerving.
Yeah, I'm happy to answer that. Yeah, it is unnerving. And, the first drop in pass rate was with the May exam, and then it was lower historical levels in July as well. So what's interesting is that was not the first computer-based test, right? So there was a lot of anticipation, would the exam be harder, would the exam be easier? And we knew that the exam question writing process, everything would be exactly the same. So we expected the pass rate to be the same. And in February, it was. The difference that we believe is the deferrals, the stop and starting of candidates who were deferred for both the May and the July setting. So some candidates, because of COVID, their local test center closed down, and many times they didn't have advance notice of this, right up until the minute when they're ready to study, and then you're bumped out for a period of time. So we believe that it was the stops and starts of the exam study, and just, what the link that you just shared, there's a video where we talk about it, and also kind of give some guidance on what to do if you're deferred in order to make sure that doesn't happen. You have to keep at it, and that is even more painful after studying for all of that time. But we believe that is the reason why.
Because I can concur in talking with a lot of people that were taking the exams it's not so much that, I think some of what the Institute talks about is the deferral, and then people just said, you know what, I already studied, I don't need to study anymore, I'm ready for it, and just took it 3 months later. The reality, I don't think that's it. I think it's people were burned out. Like some people got deferred like a full year. And if you already put in a lot of time, then you got deferred from even level 2 and 3, right? From June now to a potential December test window they opened up, and then you started studying again. You 3 months before that December test, you're all ramped up for the test, and you got deferred again until the following May for a computer-based test. So you stop studying for a couple months, get back into it. At the end of the day, instead of 300 hours, people had put in 500 to 600 hours. And by the time they were getting ready to take that test in May of 2021, like a lot of people I talked to just said, screw this, like I'm done. Like I'm tired. I don't care anymore. Like, let me just wait until next year. Give me a break.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. We have another question in the chat box about scholarships. So someone's wondering if you've already registered for a certain level, can you still apply for scholarships? And maybe I'll say on behalf of the society, our scholarships are not necessarily tied to a specific exam. We do a lot for each year, a certain number of exams, and ask that whoever is applying for them has the intention and has registered for any level within the upcoming calendar year. But so hopefully that answers on behalf of society. If you are registered, yes, you can still apply, but I'll let the Institute respond on behalf of their scholarships.
Just a heads up on I think on the society though, so we haven't announced scholarships yet. So we are still trying to confirm for 2022 that Kaplan's going to give scholarships, because I think computer-based testing and the CFA Institute's own learning ecosystem has put a wrench in some of their stuff. So we're still trying to confirm that they're doing scholarships as well. So they typically give us a few to hand out. So definitely stay tuned on our own website for the society. If we're going to have scholarships out, we have one undergraduate one for any students to participate in SMIF, but that is exclusive to SMIF students. And it's an undergraduate scholarship where we just write a check. So technically you could use that check to pay for the CFA exam, but it is specifically for undergraduate students. And then the Institute has a ton of different programs, from student scholarships, especially if you have a partner university, like UCI, Chapman, I think Pomona is now part of that too. Where faculty members can give out scholarships. Any faculty member that's a CFA charter holder also can give out scholarships in addition to all of those affiliate scholarships. And then there's specific scholarships for the Institute for Women as well, to try to get more women into this industry.
Yes, I can speak. I can speak on the institute side for our scholarships. So for the student scholarships specifically, and again, those are offered through our university affiliation program participants. Unfortunately, you can't be registered for the exam and also receive a scholarship. So if you are thinking about taking the exam and you want to get a scholarship, make sure to get your application in as early as possible so your faculty advisor, the principal contact that we have the relationship with, can review your application and potentially award you a scholarship. If you're already registered for level 1, so the good thing about the student scholarship process is that it is available for all 3 levels. So I don't know, your particular situation on when you're registered, but if you were to pass level 1 or, even fail level 1, you could get an additional scholarship, from your university. They can award you one, after your exam results have come out. Those students that are unsuccessful in getting a scholarship, I think it's also important to note that because we're kind of blocking you from registering for the exam, before you get a scholarship, we want to make sure that you can still take advantage of the early bird registration pricing, even if you're not awarded a scholarship. So get your application into your university. And if you're not awarded a scholarship, we'll still offer you the early bird pricing. That's that $700 fee for an entire year. So it's a nice benefit that you won't miss out on the early bird pricing while waiting on your scholarship decision from your university.
That's good to know. It looks like Brandon has a question. I think, yeah, there you go. You unmuted yourself. Go ahead. Thanks, Brandon.
You mentioned there were some volunteer opportunities, and I'm a recent graduate, and I was curious if I'm able to get involved. I am registered for the November exam, but I was wondering if it's possible to get involved with the volunteer program ahead of that time.
In regards to the society level volunteering, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say for anyone listening right now, there are no end of volunteer opportunities to get involved at the society level. We usually like to deal with everyone individually to make sure that, what you're interested in, the time capacity that you have and what you're looking to get out of it. We match you with a volunteer role that would meet that. And then I would say, kind of going back to the availability of a student membership, we actually ask in offering the discounted rate to the student membership that you guys would give us 10 hours volunteer 10 volunteer hours per year in order to have that discounted rate. But student membership or not, we are always looking for volunteers. So shoot me an email after this and we'll figure out what's a good fit for you.
Hey guys, and I did just add to the chat box, his name's Matt McGill. He's the one that actually leads our volunteer recruiting effort. So he's the one that would bring you in, talk to you, interview, other than Paisley or myself that do a lot of it with the students anyways, just because we're in front of you and meeting you all the time. Matt's the one that would figure out where the best place to place you is and kind of ask you the right questions.
Perfect. Thanks, Chad. We had some other questions dropped in the chat. For this CFA affiliated university scholarships, what is the actual process for awarding those? And I think this would probably go to Wanda or Meredith.
Yeah, so it's actually up to the individual university on what their process is and what their timeline is. The only criteria that we set is a deadline for actually allocating the scholarships that they're awarded. But as far as the process, some universities require transcripts or essays or interviews. It's really up to your principal contact at the affiliated university on how they want to allocate those scholarships and what the process is. We try and make it a little bit easier for you all is if we know that there are additional requirements from your affiliated university, like we know that they want to have you write an essay. That is an additional requirement documentation within the scholarship platform. So you can look up and see what additional requirements may be asked of you from your university. But it's up to the principal contact for making those award decisions.
Another question we had, it looks like the question is really geared towards if someone was awarded a scholarship for, say, level 1, they would also be eligible to receive any kind of scholarship for the second level as well. It's just an entirely, you approach it as if you were just applying for your first scholarship. Is that correct? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, basically once your exam results have been released and you're, no longer registered for the exam, you would just go back into the system, apply, select your university, and then it's up to the university whether or not they want to award you
Okay.
next
That's
level.
really
But yep.
And I think to your point earlier, which I was not aware of, is thinking about if you're taking these back to back, there actually is a pretty short period of time where you're not studying. And so if you were to take level 1, you have a scholarship, you're awaiting the results, you could, I guess you would sign up then for level, or you would apply for the level 2 scholarship. And then if it turns out that you did pass and you were to move on, you could be honored with the early bird pricing. Okay, perfect. I think that answers that.
Yep. You won't be able to, you can apply for a scholarship. What will happen is if you're still registered, so if the exam results have not been released yet, it's going to kick the scholarship back out and say you're not eligible. So I would definitely wait until you've received your exam results on whether or not you pass or fail before you submit your application again. But then, like you said, if you're not awarded a scholarship, you'll get that early bird pricing for moving on to the next level or the state level, whichever case.
Any other live questions or chat box questions? I think I addressed most of them.
While you're thinking of your questions, I thought of a few points I want to add that I didn't say in the overview, just talking about timing related with the scholarship. So not scholarship related, just timing in general. It's important to note that you have to wait 6 months between exam windows. And that's whether you pass or whether, if you're not successful, you can't register for back-to-back windows. So there's a minimum of 6 months between, the times you can sit. So basically you can sit up to twice in a year. And so if you're successful, you would move on. And then another thing just to make note of, there's a maximum number of attempts now with the CFA program. So for any level, there's a maximum number of 6 attempts. So, for level 1, you need to do it within 6 attempts to be able to go on to level 2 and so forth.
Maybe one thing I wanted to chime into, it's not necessarily a question, but it's something that it seems like it comes up a lot, especially as people are weighing, because it's a really big responsibility. It's a big onus to take on sitting for the exams. And as you spoke to, even if you're as successful as possible, you're talking about a minimum 3 years of your life you're dedicating to this. And so a lot of times I've received or overheard the question of thinking about the CFA relative to other kind of continuing education, whether it's other designations, other charters, whether MBA oftentimes gets asked by a lot of people. And I would say, having worked in the finance industry for over a decade now, the MBA is highly regarded, but at the end of the day, getting a CFA next to your name just really speaks to the caliber of who you are, your character, your ability to self-study, your ability to dedicate yourself. And not to say the MBA isn't difficult, of course it is, and there's different component pieces, but the CFA really stands out in this industry. And so I know, Wanda, you had highlighted that at the beginning, but I think it's really important that this isn't just, take the test, get it over with, it's not a big deal. It's a really big commitment, and I think it's well respected in the industry as a result. It looks like Brandon has another question. I love it. Jump in.
I was just wondering if you could touch on maybe some of the past events that you guys have hosted, because I registered for the lawn bowling and I just wanted to hear about some of your past events that you've been to.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm glad to hear that you registered for that. I would say in the last 12 or so months, we've really been trying to broaden our scope as to the types of events at the society level that we're hosting to really attract all different walks, I would say. So whether it's a younger generation that's looking more for networking, or maybe more of a kind of cohort that's looking for educational material. So lawn bowling being one of those. We just had our annual baseball event at the end of August where we all get together for an Angels game. We usually have wine tasting. We did that virtually this year, which was really cool. We're just starting to kind of put the pieces back together around our kind of educational luncheon events. I think the first one's scheduled for early November, where we meet at the Pacific Club. That's kind of our home base in Newport Beach. Those are great. We have rotating speakers coming in, and then we have some more flagship or kind of key events. We have a State of Orange County panel, which has been really well received, where we bring in some people in kind of some high profile positions in Orange County to speak to kind of what's going on in regards to health, to real estate, and also investments as well. So that's really interesting. And then we also have our annual charter holder dinner, where we welcome all the new charter holders. We have a dinner, and that's in early December, which is super exciting. And then some more kind of broader events, which we've started partnering with other societies. We had Ben Bernanke last year virtually speak with us, and we have a state of the wealth management industry. So that's something we think about beyond the CFA. There's a whole host of kind of job opportunities in the investment and finance industry, and thinking about more of accounting-led or financial planning career paths. There's a lot of overlap there. So we're starting to have more events where we partner with the FPA, which is the Financial Planning Association, and other Southern California CFA societies. I don't know if Chad, if you had anything else you wanted to
yeah, it's been a mix. Like some of our marquee events that we do every year, right? There's always going to be random luncheons or dinners or wine tastings or beer tastings, right? Yeah, I think 2020 was a fail for all of us because we couldn't get out and do all of those. And those are always our best attended and favorite events is beer and wine tasting. Yeah, I think we even did whiskey tasting a few years ago. But I mean, other ones that we started launching this year, like we will have another forecasting event, like annual forecast. It's usually every like somewhere between May and August. This year we launched our first in I think almost 15 years. We did a new golf tournament because it allowed everybody to be outside and get together, which like sold out in a matter of like 30 days. You know, I think everybody was ready to get out of the house. Right, so it's a mix of think like a forecasting event or a career event and stuff like that that does let you come and network and get to know people, or versus a golf event where you might bring a foursome and just play and support the society and our educational foundation. But then there was networking and awards and all that kind of stuff and dinner served afterwards. So you kind of get the best of both worlds. A mix of things we can do that are fun for our members and things that we can do that are actually informational and educational.
Anthony, you had a question? Or maybe you go by Tony, but either way.
I go by Anthony.
Okay.
I was wondering if you can touch on the CFA Research Challenge. And then I also have my level 1 material, and I was just kind of wondering how I could recycle that, or if there's like an official channel for me to get it to somebody if they need it.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I'll write your name down, or shoot me an email, because you might be our first actual exchange of study materials. So that would be very exciting. But I'll let Chad answer about the research challenge because he does most of the work behind that.
Yeah, so the research challenge, for any of you that are students, definitely talk to your finance faculty, because almost every local university has somebody participating or has a team participating. UCI has not participated for a couple of years, so we need a new faculty over there unless Todd Ritchie has time again. But most other local universities are participating, from Chapman to Long Beach to Fullerton participates in LA's competition. Cal Poly Pomona participates, Riverside, Redlands, Laverne, Cal Baptist. All participate in our program. So it's a matter of just finding the faculty member. That's going to kick off, I think, the first week of November in Orange County, as we're just finalizing the subject company, and really recognizing, I think, we used to try to kick off in the middle of October to give as much time as possible for students. The problem is that the UCs are on a quarter system and don't start on time. And it's been historically remarkably difficult for UCs to even form a team in like the 1 or 2 weeks if we kick off in October. So we do kick off the first week of November now. And for all of you that are unaware what that program is, I mean, it's a global competition led by the Institute, where it gives students the opportunity to write a sell-side equity research report. Basically trying to sell investors on why a stock is a buy, hold, or a sell. You do a written report with a team of 3 to 5 team members, and then give a oral presentation. We are hoping to bring that back in person. That will be in February of 2022. Unless things change here in Orange County. I mean, Orange County is a lot better off than a lot of California. So I think we're like 80% vaccinated. So assuming all the universities still allow it, and a university will let us get together and host such a big event on their campus and serve dinner and cocktails and all that kind of stuff. We are hoping to come back in person this year. Otherwise it will be virtual. But sell-side equity research report, 3 to 5 students per university. You have basically 10 minutes to present, 10 minutes for Q&A. We do this, our kickoff event is just a big virtual event where I answer questions for like an hour after just kind of talking about the rules a little bit, and then just take questions from all of you that are specific to just that challenge. Did I answer your question, Anthony?
Yes, thank you. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Any other questions from the group?
We got one, guys, from one of the professors at a university, just thinking about what's the process, assuming that the university is an affiliated university, what's the process to have the institute scholarships awarded for students? Meredith, you're muted.
Yep, sorry about that. So if you are affiliated, so the scholarship applications are collected online through the CFA Institute website. So you would just go into this, scholarship section, click student, fill out your application, select your university from the drop-down list. That's going to collect all the applications for an affiliated university, and then our principal contact is going to have access to those applications that have been submitted for review and decision. So right now, our reviewer platform is actually down for the principal contacts. So we're sending those applications different way for review, but yeah, it's all handled online. Hopefully that answered the question.
All right, thank you.
There's no other questions too. There's one last thing that I wanted to just kind of say some words of wisdom. And I think anybody who's sat for the exam, this will resonate, but I think it's really important beyond getting your study materials, beyond dedicating yourself, is to really, before you commit, is to really set expectations with friends, with family, with employers, because everyone should know you're taking the exam. I've actually heard from peers or from other people that they don't tell their employer they're taking it because they don't want them to know that they might be, working long hours because they're trying to get studying done as well. I think it's really important in this day and age. Almost every employer I've worked for has been very supportive, not only financially, which is really important, but just allowing you to take time off. And so really being transparent and sharing that with your employers, I think will set you up for success. And then of course, family and friends, everyone should know that it's not even a part-time job. It's another full-time job in addition to being a student, in addition to being a parent, or in addition to just your regular day job as well. So building that support system around you can only happen if you share what you're working on and the stress that you're going through. And I know that was a little bit soft at the end here, but I think it's really, really important. So I just wanted to leave it with that. But Wanda and Meredith, I really appreciate you guys joining us.
Let me add a more critical one real quick, Paisley.
Okay.
For all of you, especially the students that aren't in industry yet, you definitely evaluate if this is the profession you want before you decide to register. If you are not going to 100% work in the investment industry, don't waste your time. You're going to kill yourself. Like, just this test is going to tell you whether you want to work in the industry or not. Like level 1, you will decide you hate investments or you love investments, right? But once you're in the industry and you're in the grind and you're working, 8 to 16 hours a day for your employer, you learn your first few years, no matter what, working, studying, whatever it is a grind no matter what, if you're in the profession, right? And your first couple of years weeds you, like you decide if you're going to stay or go, and then you go take this test. But if you already know coming out as a student where you're already in study mode is hands down the best time to take level 1. Like register when you're a student, take the May exam because you're already studying half of the content your last year of school, right? But definitely make sure this is what you want to do. I just talked to 2 people that were going through data analytics degrees with finance as a minor. They decided to take level 1. They hate finance now. Like this is the last thing, like, I can't believe I just wasted my time on this test. I wasted so much time studying. I didn't hang out with anybody for 6 months. And I have no interest in going into this profession at all, right? So, I mean, having wasted all that time and going, like, they look back and they regret having ever registered, right? And level 1's the reason they found out. So I think really evaluate if investments is a passion. If it's not, don't waste your time. If it is, this is 100% the route to go. Like you cannot do better than the CFA program. I honestly think it should be a requirement to work in the industry to at least take level 1 and get a 50% score. And if you can't get 50% on level 1, you should not be allowed to work in the industry. You don't got to pass it, but 50% score, come on. If you can't get 50%, then
Tough crowd, Chad.
They're the ones that were driving down the pass rate, the recent exam.
Yeah, exactly. That's probably true, actually. Awesome. I know we're at the time here. Again, I just want to say thank you to Wanda and Meredith. These slides that they shared, we're going to make sure we get that sent out to everyone who registered, as well as getting this recording and those slides up on our website. Chad and I both dropped our email in the chat, so please reach out to us, as well as Matt McGill, who's in charge of the volunteering efforts on behalf of the society. And we're here for you guys, so let us know if we can help in any way.
Great. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you all.
Thank
Good
you.
luck.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.